Eyes are up here. I looked up from the sand, caught. She was standing 3 feet away, hands on her hips, sunglasses pushed up into her hair. The turquoise bikini left very little to the imagination, and yeah, I'd been staring. Most guys would have stammered an apology, maybe looked away, embarrassed. I didn't. You knew that Bikini would do this, I said. For a second, she just stared at me. Then she laughed. A real laugh, the kind that caught her off guard. She shook her head, still smiling. You're honest. I'll give you that. Seemed easier than lying. She tilted her head, studying me like I was some kind of puzzle she hadn't expected to find on a Tuesday afternoon. Most guys would have at least pretended to be sorry. I'm not most guys. Clearly. That conversation lasted maybe 5 minutes, but something in it felt different. Like we'd skipped past all the usual bullshit and landed somewhere real without meaning to. I didn't know then that she'd become the most important person in my life. Let me start from the beginning. I moved to the coast 8 months before I met her. It wasn't planned. I didn't wake up one day and decide to start over. It just sort of happened. My girlfriend of 6 years left. The apartment we'd shared felt too big and too small at the same time. I couldn't sleep there anymore, couldn't think straight. So when a buddy from trade school mentioned he had a trailer he wasn't using near the beach, I took it. Packed my tools, my clothes, and not much else. The trailer sat on a small lot 2 blocks from the water. It wasn't much. Aluminum siding, a roof that leaked when it rained hard, a kitchenette that barely fit one person. But it was mine, and it was quiet. I'd been working as a carpenter for almost 10 years. Residential mostly. Decks, kitchen remodels, fixing dry rot, replacing windows. The kind of work where you show up early, keep your head down, and go home when the job's done. I liked it. Liked working with my hands. Liked that at the end of the day I could see what I'd built. When I got to town, I picked up work pretty fast. Small beach community meant constant repairs. Salt air ate through everything. Decks needed replacing every few years. Fences sagged, roofs wore out. There was always something to fix. My routine was simple. I'd wake up around 5:30 before the sun came up. Make coffee in the little percolator I'd brought from the old place. Sit outside on the wooden steps and drink it, while the sky turned from black to gray to pink. The sound of the waves was constant, like white noise, but better. It got into your bones after a while. Work started at 7 most days. I'd meet the homeowner, assess the job, get to it. I didn't talk much, just did the work. Most clients liked that. They didn't want a contractor who overshared or made small talk. They wanted someone who showed up on time, didn't make a mess, and left their house better than they found it. Lunch was usually a sandwich from the deli near the hardware store. I'd eat in my truck, windows down, watching people walk by, families with kids, retirees in visors and sandals, tourists taking pictures of everything. I finished work around 4 or 5 depending on the job. Then I'd head back to the trailer, change into running shorts and hit the beach. That was my favorite part of the day. The beach wasn't crowded in the late afternoons. Most tourists cleared out by then. Just a few stragglers, dog walkers, the occasional surfer catching the last light. I'd run for 3, maybe 4 miles. Not fast, just steady. The sand made it harder, made my calves burn, but I liked that. Liked feeling my body work. After the run, I'd walk back slowly, cooling down, watching the sun drop toward the horizon. The sky would go orange, then purple, then dark. I'd shower in the tiny stall that barely fit my shoulders, make something simple for dinner, pasta, eggs, whatever I had, and eat it outside if the weather was decent. Then I'd sit on the steps with a beer and just exist. No TV, no music, just the sound of the ocean and my own thoughts. I wasn't unhappy. That's the thing people don't understand. I wasn't miserable or lost or drowning in self-pity. I was just empty, like someone had scooped out the part of me that used to want things and left a hole that didn't hurt, but didn't feel like anything either. I'd tried dating apps for about 2 weeks after I moved, swiped through profiles of women smiling on boats, holding drinks, posing with friends. It all felt performative, exhausting. I deleted the apps and didn't look back. Sometimes I'd see couples on the beach during my runs, holding hands, laughing, taking selfies with the sunset behind them. I didn't feel jealous exactly, more like I was watching something from behind glass. I could see it, but I couldn't touch it. Couldn't remember what it felt like to be that version of myself, the one who believed in all that. Weekends were the hardest. During the week, work kept me busy, kept my hands moving, my mind occupied. But Saturdays and Sundays stretched out long and formless. I'd wake up with nothing to do and no one expecting me anywhere. I'd fix things that didn't need fixing, sanded down the trailer's front steps even though they were fine, rebuilt a fence post that was only slightly loose, organized my toolbox 3 times, anything to fill the hours. Sundays I'd drive to the hardware store just to walk the aisles. I didn't need anything. I just liked being around the smell of cut wood and paint, liked overhearing other contractors talking about their jobs. It made me feel less alone, even though I never joined the conversations. I told myself I was fine, told myself this was enough. The work, the quiet, the ocean, that I didn't need anything else. And maybe I believed it. Until that Tuesday afternoon when a woman in a turquoise bikini called me out for staring, and I didn't apologize. Key, call to action, 50-70 palavras. Before I tell you what happened next, do me a favor. Drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from. I love hearing from you all. And if you're finding this worthwhile, hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps me keep bringing you these stories. Now, let me tell you what changed everything. It was a Tuesday, mid-afternoon. I'd finished a deck repair early and decided to take a walk on the beach before heading back to the trailer. The sun was still high, the sand hot under my feet. I wasn't really paying attention to anything in particular, just walking, clearing my head. That's when I saw her. She was standing near the water looking out at the waves. The turquoise bikini caught the light. And yeah, I looked. Longer than I should have. Not in a creepy way, at least I didn't think so. But she was beautiful and I'm not dead. I didn't realize she'd noticed until she turned around. Eyes are up here. I stopped walking. She was looking right at me, hands on her hips, sunglasses pushed up into her hair. Her tone wasn't angry exactly. More testing, like she was waiting to see what kind of guy I was. Most guys would have stammered an apology, maybe looked away, embarrassed, pretended they'd been looking at something else. I didn't. You knew that Bikini would do this, I said. For a second, she just stared at me. Then she laughed. A real laugh, the kind that seemed to surprise her. She shook her head, still smiling. You're honest. I'll give you that. Seemed easier than lying. She tilted her head, studying me. Most guys would have at least pretended to be sorry. I'm not most guys. Clearly, there was a pause. Not awkward, just open. Like neither of us knew what was supposed to happen next. You live here? She asked, gesturing vaguely toward the town. Yeah, moved here about 8 months ago. I'm just visiting. 3 weeks. Vacation? She hesitated. Something like that. There was weight in the way she said it. Like vacation wasn't the right word, but she didn't have a better one. You here alone? I asked. Yeah. She looked back at the ocean. Needed to get away for a bit. I didn't push, didn't ask why. Something about the way she said it made it clear she didn't want to explain. We stood there for a minute, both looking at the water. The waves rolled in, steady and predictable. A couple of gulls fought over something further down the beach. I'm Ethan, I said finally. Claire. Nice to meet you, Claire, even though I called you out for staring. Especially because of that. She laughed again, softer this time. You're weird. I've been called worse. She pulled her phone out of a small bag she'd left on the sand. Give me your number. I raised an eyebrow. Yeah, maybe I'll text you, maybe I won't. She handed me the phone. I typed in my number, handed it back. No pressure. Good. She slipped the phone back into the bag, then looked at me one more time. I might come back to this beach tomorrow, same time. I'll probably be working. Probably? Depends on the job. She smiled. Guess we'll see. And then she walked away, barefoot, slow, like she had nowhere to be. I watched her go, not staring this time, just watching. She didn't look back. I didn't expect to hear from her. Didn't expect to see her again, honestly. Women like that, confident, sharp, beautiful, they didn't usually stick around guys like me, guys who lived in trailers and fixed other people's houses for a living. But the next afternoon, my phone buzzed while I was replacing a rotted deck board. Unknown number. You working? I wiped the sawdust off my hands and typed back. Yeah, why? Just wondering. Same beach, 4 p.m.? I stared at the message for a second. Then I replied, I'll be there. I didn't know what I was getting into. Didn't know what she wanted or why she'd texted or what any of this meant. But I showed up. She was already there when I arrived. Same spot as yesterday, but this time she was sitting on a towel, knees pulled up to her chest, staring out at the water. She'd traded the turquoise bikini for a white one-piece and denim shorts. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. I walked up slowly, didn't want to startle her. "Hey," she turned, smiled. "You actually came." Said I would. Most guys say a lot of things. I sat down on the sand next to her towel. Not too close. Just near. I'm not most guys. We established that. She laughed. Yeah, we did. For a while, we just sat there watching the waves. A kid further down the beach was trying to fly a kite, but there wasn't enough wind. It kept crashing into the sand. His dad was trying to help, running alongside him. "So what do you do?" she asked. "For work. Carpenter. Residential stuff mostly. Decks, remodels, repairs. You like it?" "Yeah, it's honest work. I can see what I've built at the end of the day." She nodded, like that made sense to her. I wish I could say that about my job. "What do you do?" "Corporate consulting, strategy and operations." She said it flatly, like she was reading from a script she'd memorized but didn't believe in anymore. "You don't sound excited about it." "I'm not." She pulled her knees in tighter. "I used to be, or I thought I was. Now I don't know." I didn't say anything, just waited. "That's why I'm here," she continued. "Forced sabbatical. My boss told me I needed to take time off before I burned out completely. So here I am. 3 weeks in a beach town where I don't know anyone. Sounds lonely. It is." She looked at me. "But maybe that's the point." We talked until the sun started to set. She asked about the town, about the beach, about where to get good coffee. I told her about the deli, the hardware store, the walking trail that went along the cliffs. Normal stuff, easy stuff. When it got dark, she stood up, brushed the sand off her shorts. "Same time tomorrow?" she asked. "If you want." "I do." She came back the next day, and the day after that. At first, it was just the beach. We'd meet around 4, sit on the sand, talk about nothing important. She'd ask about my day, what job I was working on, if anything interesting happened. I'd ask about hers, what she did with all the free time, if she was reading anything, if she'd explored the town. She wasn't much of an explorer, she admitted. Mostly she slept late, walked on the beach, sat at coffee shops with her laptop trying to answer emails she didn't want to answer. "You're supposed to be on sabbatical," I said. "I know, but if I don't respond, they'll think I'm not committed." "Are you? Committed?" She went quiet. "I don't know anymore." By the end of the first week, she started showing up where I was working. I was replacing a fence at a rental property near the pier when I heard her voice behind me. "Need any help?" I turned around. She was holding 2 cups of coffee, wearing sunglasses and a sundress that moved in the breeze. "You know how to use a drill?" "No, but I can learn." I took one of the coffees. "You don't have to do this." "I know, but I'm bored, and you seem like you could use the company." She wasn't wrong. I showed her how to pre-drill the holes for the fence boards. She was terrible at it. Kept stripping the screws, drilling at the wrong angle. But she laughed at herself, didn't get frustrated. Just tried again. "This is harder than it looks," she said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Most things are. Is that your philosophy on life?" "Pretty much," she smiled. "I like that." We worked for another hour. Well, I worked. She mostly watched, asked questions, handed me tools when I needed them. But it was nice, having someone there, having her there. When I finished, she insisted on buying me lunch. We went to the deli, sat outside at one of the plastic tables. She ordered a sandwich she didn't finish. I ate mine and half of hers. "So, why did you move here?" she asked. 8 months ago. You said you moved here. Why?" I set down my sandwich. "Relationship ended. Needed a change." "How long were you together?" 6 years. "That's a long time." "Yeah." She didn't ask what happened. Didn't pry. Just nodded, like she understood that some things didn't need explaining. "I was with someone too," she said quietly, "for 4 years. He worked at the same firm. Everyone thought we were perfect together." "Were you?" "No." She looked down at her plate, but I didn't realize that until it was too late. "What happened?" "He cheated with someone from the office, and when I found out, he told me it was my fault. That I was too focused on work, too stressed too, unavailable." She laughed, but there was no humor in it. The worst part is, I believed him. I spent months thinking I wasn't enough. That's bullshit. She looked up, surprised. He cheated because he's a coward, I said. Not because you weren't enough. Her eyes got a little glassy. She blinked, looked away. Thanks. After that, we started spending more time together. She'd meet me after work most days. Sometimes we'd walk on the beach. Sometimes we'd grab food. Sometimes we'd just sit on the steps of my trailer and talk while the sun went down. I learned things about her. Small things. She hated mornings but loved sunsets. She could spend an hour talking about a book she'd read but couldn't remember what she'd had for breakfast. She was terrible at cooking but insisted on trying anyway. She had a scar on her knee from falling off a bike when she was 10. She still called her mom every Sunday, even though the conversations always left her drained. And she was scared, terrified actually, of going back to her life. One night, about 2 weeks in, I made spaghetti at the trailer. Nothing fancy, jar sauce, pre-made meatballs, garlic bread from the freezer, but she acted like I'd cooked her a 5-course meal. This is amazing, she said, twirling pasta on her fork. It's spaghetti. Yeah, but I didn't make it. That automatically makes it amazing. After dinner, we sat outside on the steps. The air was warm, the sound of the ocean steady in the background. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. Do you ever feel like you're just going through the motions? Like you're doing all the right things, but none of it means anything? I thought about it. Yeah, I felt like that for a long time. Still do sometimes. How do you deal with it? I don't know if I do. I just keep moving. Work, run, sleep, repeat. She nodded slowly. That's what I've been doing too, for years. And I thought if I just worked hard enough, if I just pushed through, eventually it would feel like it mattered. But it never did. So why go back? She looked at me, startled, like the question had never occurred to her. I don't know, she said quietly, because it's all I know how to do. The third week, something shifted. She stopped checking her email as much, stopped talking about work, started sleeping better. She told me she'd actually slept through the night for the first time in months. We fell into a rhythm. Mornings, she'd meet me for coffee before I started work. We'd sit outside the deli, not talking much, just waking up together. Then I'd head to whatever job I had, and she'd go walk on the beach or read at a coffee shop. Afternoons, she'd find me. Sometimes she'd bring lunch. Sometimes she'd just sit and watch me work. I taught her how to use a level, how to measure twice and cut once, how to tell if wood was rotting just by the feel of it. You're a good teacher, she said one day after successfully drilling a screw in straight for the first time. You're a good student. I don't think anyone's ever said that about me before. Then they weren't paying attention. She looked at me for a long moment. Something unspoken passed between us, but neither of us named it. Evenings were my favorite. We'd cook together, or try to. She burned rice twice, set off the smoke alarm making grilled cheese, somehow managed to oversalt pasta water so badly we had to dump it and start over. But she laughed through all of it, and I realized I hadn't heard someone laugh like that, free, unself-conscious, real, in a long time. One night, after another cooking disaster, we gave up and ordered pizza. We ate it sitting on the floor of the trailer because the table was covered in my work papers. This is the best meal I've had in weeks, she said, folding a slice in half. It's pizza. Exactly. After we finished, she helped me clean up. We moved around the tiny kitchen in comfortable silence, her washing dishes, me drying. It felt domestic, easy, like we'd been doing this for years instead of weeks. When we finished, she didn't leave right away. She stood in the doorway looking out at the dark beach, the sound of the waves drifting in. I don't want to go back, she said quietly. I came up behind her, not touching, just close. Then don't. It's not that simple. Why not? Because I've spent my entire adult life building this career. If I walk away from it, what do I have left? Yourself. She turned to look at me. Her eyes were wet. What if that's not enough? It is. The last few days of her 3 weeks, I could feel her pulling away. Not physically, she still showed up every day. But mentally, she was somewhere else. Her phone rang more. She'd step away to take calls, come back looking stressed. I didn't push, didn't ask, but I noticed. One afternoon, we were sitting on the beach when her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, sighed. I have to take this. Go ahead. She walked down the beach, phone pressed to her ear. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I could see her body language. Tense, defensive. When she came back, she looked exhausted. "Everything okay?" I asked. "My boss. He wants me back early. Says there's an opportunity for a promotion if I return now." "What did you tell him?" "That I'd think about it. Will you?" She sat back down next to me, pulled her knees up to her chest. "I don't know. I should want this. I've been working toward this for years. But the thought of going back makes me feel sick." "Then don't go." "It's not that simple, Ethan." "Why not?" "Because this is real life. I have bills. I have responsibilities. I can't just throw away everything I've built because I had a nice 3 weeks at the beach." The way she said it, like this was just a break from reality, not part of it, stung more than I expected. I didn't say anything. She reached over, put her hand on mine. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that." "It's fine." "It's not." She squeezed my hand. "These 3 weeks with you, they've been the best I've had in years. You've been the best thing that's happened to me in years. But I'm scared. I'm scared that if I stay, I'll regret it. And I'm scared that if I go, I'll regret that too. I don't know what to do." I looked at her, really looked at her, saw the fear in her eyes, the exhaustion, the weight of trying to make a decision that felt impossible. "You don't have to decide right now," I said. "I kind of do." "No, you don't." I turned my hand over, laced my fingers through hers. "Whatever you decide, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." She started crying, quietly at first, then harder. I pulled her in, let her lean against me while she cried into my shoulder. I didn't tell her what to do, didn't try to convince her to stay. I just held her, and for that moment, it was enough. Her phone started ringing more after that. Not just her boss, her mother, colleagues, people from her old life pulling her back in, one call at a time. I'd see her step away, walk down the beach with the phone pressed to her ear, shoulders tight. She'd come back looking smaller somehow, defeated. She stopped sleeping well again. I could tell by the way she looked in the mornings, dark circles under her eyes, that exhausted heaviness in her movements. One morning, she showed up at the deli 30 minutes late. I'd already finished my coffee and was about to head to work. "Sorry," she said, sliding into the chair across from me. "Bad night. Want to talk about it?" "Not really." She stared at her hands. "My mom called last night. For an hour. She thinks I'm having some kind of breakdown. She wants me to see a therapist. She thinks this whole beach vacation was a mistake." "What do you think?" "I think." She trailed off, shook her head. "I don't know what I think anymore." I reached across the table, covered her hand with mine. "You don't have to have all the answers right now. Everyone else seems to think I do." The pressure kept building. Her boss called again, this time with specifics. There was a new client, a major account. If she came back immediately, she'd lead the team. It was the promotion she'd been working toward for 3 years. Vice president, corner office, significant raise, everything she'd supposedly wanted. "It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity," she told me that night. We were sitting on the trailer steps, watching the sun disappear into the ocean. "Is it?" She looked at me. "What do you mean? Is it really once in a lifetime? Or is it just another carrot they're dangling to keep you running?" She went quiet, pulled her knees up, wrapped her arms around them. "You think I'm stupid for even considering it. I don't think you're stupid. I think you're scared. Of course I'm scared." Her voice rose slightly. "I've spent 10 years building this career. If I walk away now, what was it all for? What do I have to show for it? Your sanity, your health, your life. That's easy for you to say. You have a life here. You have work you actually like. I don't have anything outside of my job. If I leave it, I'm just nothing." The word hung in the air between us. "You really believe that?" I asked quietly. She didn't answer. Things got worse when her ex started texting. She didn't tell me at first. I only found out because her phone lit up while she was in the bathroom at a restaurant. I wasn't trying to snoop. The message just appeared on the screen. "We need to talk. I'm worried about you." When she came back, I didn't mention it, but she must have seen something in my face. "What?" "Nothing. Ethan." I hesitated. "Your ex texted." Her whole body tensed. "You read my messages?" It popped up on the screen. I wasn't trying to. She grabbed her phone, looked at it, then set it face down on the table. "It's nothing. He says he's worried about you. He doesn't get to be worried about me. Not after what he did. So why are you still talking to him?" "I'm not." She stopped herself. "It's complicated." "How?" Because we work at the same firm. Because mutual friends keep telling me I should hear him out. Because apparently I'm the crazy one for not wanting to forgive him and move on like nothing happened. She was getting agitated now, her voice sharp and defensive. I'm not trying to fight with you, I said. Then why are we talking about this? Because he's texting you and you're letting him. What am I supposed to do? Block him? Ghost him? That'll go over great when I have to see him at the office every day. You don't have to go back to that office. We're back to this again. Yeah, we are. She stood up abruptly. I need some air. She walked out of the restaurant. I paid the bill and followed her outside. She was standing in the parking lot, arms crossed, staring at nothing. Claire, he's been texting me for a week, she said, not looking at me, saying he made a mistake, that he wants to try again, that things would be different this time. My stomach dropped. And I don't know. She finally turned to face me and there were tears in her eyes. I don't know, Ethan. Part of me knows it's bullshit, that he's only saying this because I'm not there, because I'm not available. But part of me wonders if maybe I gave up too easily. You didn't. How do you know? Because you're not the one who cheated. You're not the one who destroyed the relationship. He did that, and now he's trying to manipulate you into thinking you're responsible for fixing it. Or maybe I really was too unavailable, too focused on work. Maybe he's right. He's not. You don't know that. I know you. My voice was louder than I intended. I know that you show up, that you care, that you try. If he couldn't see that, that's on him, not you. She wiped at her eyes. I'm so tired, Ethan. I'm tired of trying to figure out what's real and what's not. I'm tired of everyone having opinions about what I should do. I'm tired of feeling like I'm failing no matter what choice I make. I stepped closer, but I didn't touch her. What do you want? Not what your boss wants, not what your mom wants, not what your ex wants. What do you want? I want to stop feeling like this. Like what? Like I'm drowning. The next few days were tense. She still came around, but there was a distance between us that hadn't been there before. She was distracted, constantly checking her phone, lost in her own head. I tried to give her space, tried not to push, but I could feel her slipping away. One afternoon, I was replacing a screen door at a beach house when she showed up. She looked like she hadn't slept. Can we talk? She asked. I set down my tools. Yeah, of course. We walked down to the beach, sat on a bench overlooking the water. I talked to my boss this morning, she said. He needs an answer by the end of the week. What are you going to tell him? I don't know. She looked at me. What do you think I should do? It's not my decision to make. I know, but I'm asking anyway. I took a breath. I think you should do whatever lets you sleep at night, whatever makes you feel like yourself again. But I also think you need to stop letting other people tell you who you're supposed to be. That's easy to say. I know. I turned to face her. But Claire, the person I've gotten to know these past few weeks, that person is incredible. She's smart and funny and kind. She's terrible at cooking, but she tries anyway. She asks good questions. She actually listens. She's not afraid to call me out when I'm being an idiot. She smiled a little at that. That person doesn't need a corner office or a VP title to be enough, I continued. She just needs to believe she's enough without those things. Her smile faded. What if I can't? Then I'll keep reminding you until you do. She reached over, took my hand. We sat like that for a long time, not talking, just holding on. That night, her ex called. I was at the trailer when her phone rang. She looked at the screen, went pale. It's him. You don't have to answer. I know. But she stood up, walked outside, answered it anyway. I could hear her voice through the thin walls. Not the words, but the tone. Defensive at first, then quieter. Then something else, something that sounded almost hopeful. My chest tightened. She was out there for 20 minutes. When she came back in, she looked shaken. He's in town, she said. What? He drove up. He's at a hotel downtown. He wants to meet tomorrow, to talk. Are you going to? I don't know. Maybe. He said he's been going to therapy, that he's changed, that he wants to prove it to me. I didn't say anything. Didn't trust myself to. You think it's a bad idea, she said. I think you need to do what you think is right. That's not an answer. Yeah, it is. I looked at her. I can't tell you what to do, Claire. I can tell you that I think he's full of shit. I can tell you that I think he's saying whatever he needs to say to get you back into his life so he doesn't have to feel guilty anymore. But at the end of the day, you're the one who has to decide if you believe him. She stood there, arms wrapped around herself, looking lost. I don't want to make the wrong choice, she whispered. There's no right choice. There's just the choice you can live with. She nodded slowly. Then she grabbed her bag. I need to think. I'm going to go back to my hotel. Okay. She stopped at the door, turned back. Ethan, it's fine, really. Just think about what you actually want, not what everyone else wants for you. She looked like she wanted to say something else, but she didn't. She just left. I didn't hear from her the next day or the day after that. I tried not to think about it, tried to focus on work. I had a kitchen cabinet installation that needed my full attention, but I kept screwing up measurements, cutting pieces wrong. My mind was somewhere else. She'd met with her ex. I knew she had, and she hadn't called. That told me everything I needed to know. On the third day, I was finishing up a repair job when my phone finally buzzed. Are you home? I stared at the message for a long moment before replying. Yeah. Can I come over? Of course. I drove back to the trailer faster than I should have. She was already there when I arrived, sitting on the steps, arms wrapped around her knees. She looked small, fragile in a way I'd never seen before. I sat down next to her, didn't say anything, just waited. I met with him, she said finally. Both days. He took me to dinner, told me all about his therapy sessions, how much he'd changed, how he realized what he'd lost. I kept my jaw tight. And it was all bullshit. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. I wanted to believe him. I really did. I kept thinking maybe if I just gave him another chance, maybe if I just tried harder, things could go back to how they were. But halfway through dinner last night, his phone kept buzzing. He kept ignoring it. Finally, I asked who it was. He said it was work. But I saw the screen when he got up to use the bathroom. She looked at me, eyes red. It was her, the woman he cheated with. She's been texting him the whole time. I felt anger surge through me, but I kept my voice calm. What did you do? I left, walked out of the restaurant. He followed me, tried to explain, said it wasn't what it looked like, that she was just a friend now, that I was overreacting. She wiped at her eyes. I told him to go to hell. Good. But then I went back to my hotel and I just broke. Because I realized I'd been so desperate to make it work with him, with anyone from my old life, that I was willing to ignore every red flag. I was willing to let him gaslight me all over again. She took a shaky breath. And then this morning, my boss called, gave me an ultimatum. Come back now and take the promotion, or they're giving it to someone else. He said I had until tonight to decide. What did you tell him? Nothing yet. Because after I hung up, I had a panic attack. Full on, couldn't breathe, thought I was dying panic attack. Her voice broke. I ended up on the bathroom floor, hyperventilating, thinking about going back to that office, seeing my ex every day, working 80-hour weeks, living in that apartment where I couldn't sleep, pretending everything was fine when nothing was fine. I put my arm around her shoulders, pulled her close. I don't know what's wrong with me, she whispered. This is everything I worked for. This is supposed to be what I want. But it's not. No, it's not. She turned to look at me. You know what I thought about when I was on that bathroom floor? I thought about sitting on these steps with you, about the way you make terrible jokes while you're working, about how you never push me to talk, but you always listen when I do, about how for the first time in years I felt like I could just breathe. She wiped at her face with the back of her hand. I'm terrified, Ethan. I'm terrified of throwing away my career. I'm terrified of what my family will say. I'm terrified that if I stay here, I'm just running away from my problems instead of dealing with them. And what are you terrified of if you go back? She went very still. That I'll lose myself completely. We sat in silence for a moment. The ocean was loud tonight, the waves crashing harder than usual. Can I tell you something? I said. Yeah. When you first showed up here, I thought this was temporary. A vacation thing. I thought you'd go back to your life and I'd go back to mine and that would be it. I turned to face her fully. But somewhere along the way that changed. You changed it. And now I can't imagine my days without you in them. Her eyes filled with tears again. I'm not going to tell you to stay, I continued. I'm not going to pretend I know what's best for you. But I need you to know something. I took both of her hands in mine. I'm not going anywhere. Whether you stay or go, whether you figure this out tomorrow or 6 months from now, I'm not going anywhere. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be honest with yourself about what you actually want. What if what I want isn't practical? Then it isn't practical. What if I make the wrong choice? Then you make another choice. That's how life works. She stared at me, tears streaming down her face. I'm so tired of being strong. I'm so tired of having to figure everything out on my own. Then stop. I squeezed her hands. You don't have to do this alone. Not anymore. She broke down then. Really broke down, sobbing into my chest, her whole body shaking. I held her, let her cry, didn't try to fix anything. We stayed like that for a long time. The sun set, the air got colder. The sound of the ocean was constant, steady, grounding. Finally, she pulled back, wiped her face. I need to call my boss. Okay. She pulled out her phone, stared at it for a moment. Then she dialed. I stood up, started to walk away to give her privacy. Stay, she said. Please. I sat back down. She took a deep breath. I heard the ringing through her phone. Then a voice answered. David, it's Claire. Her voice was steadier than I expected. I've made my decision. She looked at me while she talked, held my gaze. I'm not coming back. Not now. Maybe not ever. I know this isn't what you want to hear, but I need to do what's right for me. And this isn't it. There was noise on the other end. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was clear. Angry, disappointed. I understand, she said calmly. And I'm sorry you feel that way. But my decision is final. More noise. Louder this time. Thank you for the opportunity. I really do appreciate everything I learned there. But this is goodbye. She hung up before he could respond. Her hand was shaking. How do you feel? I asked. She let out a long, shaky breath. Terrified, relieved, like I might throw up. She looked at me, but also, right. For the first time in a long time, this feels right. I pulled her close. You're going to be okay. How do you know? Because you just chose yourself. That's the hardest thing to do. Everything else will be easier. She laughed through her tears. I hope you're right. I'm always right. That's not true. No, but you smiled. So it worked. She kissed me then. Soft at first, then deeper. When she pulled back, she rested her forehead against mine. I'm staying, she whispered. I don't know for how long or what comes next, but I'm staying. Good, I said, because I wasn't kidding. I'm not going anywhere. Promise? Promise. 6 months later, Claire found an apartment 3 blocks from the beach. Small 1-bedroom, nothing fancy. The landlord let her paint the walls whatever color she wanted, so she chose a soft blue-gray that reminded her of early morning fog. She didn't go back to corporate consulting. Instead, she took a part-time remote position with a smaller firm, strategic planning, but on her own terms. 25 hours a week. No expectation of after-hours emails. No pressure to sacrifice her life for the job. The pay was less. Significantly less. But she slept through the night now. That was worth more than any corner office. We didn't rush into anything. Didn't move in together right away. She needed her own space, she said. Needed to prove to herself that she could be okay on her own before building something with someone else. I understood that. Respected it. But we spent most days together anyway. Mornings she'd meet me at the deli. We'd sit outside with coffee, planning our days. Sometimes we'd talk. Sometimes we'd just sit in comfortable silence, watching the town wake up around us. She started coming to job sites again. Not every day, but often. She'd gotten better with the drill. Could now put together a basic frame without stripping every other screw. I taught her how to read a level, how to measure for crown molding, how to identify different types of wood by touch. I like working with my hands, she told me one afternoon. We were refinishing a deck, sanding down old boards. I never thought I would, but there's something satisfying about it, about seeing the progress. It's honest work, I said. Yeah, it is. She'd started cooking too. Actual cooking, not just burning things. She bought a cookbook, worked through it methodically. Some dishes were disasters. She made a pot roast that was somehow both dry and undercooked. But others were good, really good. We'd eat dinner together most nights. Sometimes at her place, sometimes at mine. We'd talk about our days, about nothing important, about everything. She told me about the client project she was working on. I told her about the fence I was building that kept falling over because the homeowner insisted on doing it his way instead of the right way. Why don't you just tell him he's wrong? she asked. I did. He didn't listen. So you're just going to let him waste money on a fence that won't last? I'm going to build what he asks for, document everything, and when it falls over in 6 months, I'll rebuild it properly. I shrugged. Some lessons you can't teach. People have to learn them on their own. She smiled. Is that a metaphor? Everything's a metaphor if you think about it hard enough. That's very philosophical for a carpenter. I'm a man of mystery. She laughed. That real laugh I'd first heard on the beach 6 months ago. I'd never get tired of that sound. Her mother came to visit in month 4. I was nervous. Claire was nervous. Her mom had not been supportive of the decision to leave her job, to stay on the coast, to throw away everything she'd worked for. But when her mom arrived, something shifted. We had dinner at Claire's apartment. Nothing fancy. Roasted chicken, vegetables, bread from the bakery. Claire was anxious, kept adjusting things on the table, checking the food. Relax, I whispered. It's fine. Her mom was quiet through most of dinner, observant. She asked me about my work, about how long I'd lived here, about my plans for the future. I answered honestly. Told her I liked what I did, that I wasn't trying to build an empire or make a fortune, that I just wanted to do good work and live a quiet life. After dinner, Claire went to make coffee. Her mom and I were alone at the table. She's different, her mom said. Different how? Lighter. She used to carry everything in her shoulders, always tense, always ready for the next crisis. She looked toward the kitchen. She doesn't do that anymore. She's been through a lot. I know. Her mom looked at me. And you've been here through it. I just showed up. She did the hard part. Her mom nodded slowly. Thank you for showing up. Claire still had hard days. Days when the anxiety came back, when she questioned everything, when she wondered if she'd made a terrible mistake. On those days, I didn't try to talk her out of it. Didn't try to convince her she'd made the right choice. I just stayed. We'd sit on her couch or on the beach or on my trailer steps. Sometimes she'd talk through it. Sometimes she'd just sit quietly, working through whatever was happening in her head, and then it would pass. The anxiety would fade. She'd take a breath, look at me, manage a small smile. Thanks for not leaving, she'd say. Where would I go? I don't know. Somewhere less complicated. Complicated is fine. I like complicated. You're weird. You've mentioned that before. One evening about a week ago, we were walking on the beach. The sun was setting, painting the sky in oranges and purples. A couple kids were flying a kite further down the shore. This time there was enough wind, and it soared. Claire stopped walking, turned to look at the ocean. You know what's strange? She said. What? I spent years chasing this idea of success, promotions, recognition, money. I thought that's what would make me happy, that if I just worked hard enough, eventually I'd feel complete. And now I make a fraction of what I used to make. I live in a tiny apartment. I have no impressive title. She looked at me, and I'm happier than I've ever been. That's not strange. That's just life. Maybe. She reached for my hand. Or maybe it's just you. I didn't do anything. You stayed. When everyone else was pulling me in different directions, telling me who I should be, what I should do, you just stayed. She squeezed my hand. That's not nothing. We stood there for a while, watching the waves, the sky changing colors, the kite dancing in the wind. I love you, she said quietly. It wasn't the first time she'd said it, but it still hit me the same way, like something settling into place. I love you too. I don't know what comes next for us. Maybe she'll stay in this town forever. Maybe she'll want to move somewhere else eventually. Maybe she'll go back to corporate work, or maybe she'll discover something completely different. I don't have those answers. But I know this. Whatever comes next, we'll figure it out together. Because I meant what I said 6 months ago on those trailer steps. I'm not going anywhere. And neither is she.